This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're landing me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. We got a lot to get to. As you could see, all the quarterbacks behind us. We're going to be looking at the NFC. We did our AFC preview yesterday, gave out our 7 playoff teams, our conference champion as well. We'll do the same in the NFC today, Alex.
Even some best bets, looking at the division specifically. So I'm excited. A lot of good teams in the NFC. We'll see how it pans out for us.
That was my takeaway, too, that the top teams in the AFC are better, but the depth in the NFC is significantly better than the depth in the AFC. But we'll have a difference we'll have our top 10 power ratings for the NFC only, along with our playoff prediction. And as Alex said, our best bets heading into the 2025 season, which, by the way, begins tomorrow. We've made it, everybody. Cowboys and Eagles tomorrow night in Philadelphia. All right, let's go to D.C. first. We're going to go over to a baseball card. We'll do that first here on a Wednesday, and we'll start with the Washington Nationals going for a 3-game sweep of the Marlins, of course, because baseball, why not? Mitchell Parker, who has been struggling for a few months now, as we've talked about, after a really good April, takes on Yuri Perez, who got clobbered his last time out. Minus 150 on Perez and the Marlins, plus 135 on Parker and the Nats, and a total of 9 in D.C. today.
He did get clobbered by the Mets. And as we've been talking about, I mean, the Mets have been on a roll offensively for the last month. So I don't want to take too much from that. I do think there is a big pitching advantage here on the Marlins side. Now, minus 150 is a little crazy. Bettors have bet this up from minus 130 all the way to minus 150. And now I think you're kind of you're out of it. I don't think there's any value there. You could add in the 20 cents for them trying to avoid the sweep. So I do think that's the right side, but I will not be putting my money on Miami today.
You go with us moving to the next one. I think that I'm 100% agreeing with you on that.
Yeah.
Next one. Let's go.
Next one's a great one.
Well, the Mets can't beat the Marlins, but they're going for a 3-game sweep against the Tigers in Detroit. Mets have put up double-digit runs in both games of this series so far. Yesterday, they clobbered both Gibson Long and Chris Paddock in a 12-5 victory after a 10-8 win on Labor Day. They go for the sweep. They have a 5-game lead now in the National League wildcard standings. Reds fall to the Jays in what was a wacko game in Cincinnati yesterday. Yeah. Actually, the Giants have caught the Cincinnati Reds, so they're now closest. Giants, even with that bizarro brawl it happened quickly after the Devers homer, handled their business. Game did sneak over the 11, and the Giants team total got there as well. So both of us got home on that one. But there you go. Mets with a 5-game lead in the National League wildcard picture. Tigers still 9 games ahead of Kansas City in the American League Central. Still in command for a bye, but lost some ground on Toronto yesterday. Jays retook the number 1 seed. Holmes and Mize. Holmes has been better of late. Mize has been Detroit's third best starter this year behind Skubal. You can even make the argument he's been better than Flaherty as well this year. So an argument for maybe their number 2. -15. The Mets actually a road favorite in this one, which surprised me a little bit. Even money on Detroit in a total that has been bet up a whole run from 8.5 to 9.5.
I can't argue with that, definitely, especially the way the Mets are hitting. I don't have any problem with the Mets being a road favorite. I actually think they could be a bigger favorite here. And to your point, Jeff, I mean, the reason why the Tigers were so good to start the season had a lot to do with Casey Mize. Really stepped in here and was probably their second best pitcher. But as of late, he's really been giving up some runs and gave up 5. That was in Sacramento, to the Athletics, though. But before that, 3 to Kansas City, 4 to Minnesota, 2 to the Angels. That was one of his better ones as of late. And then 3 earned runs to the Twins. I definitely think the Mets are going to be able to get to Casey Mize here and kind of flip-flop. Clay Holmes has been very good as of late. He has 1 bad start in his last 5 against the Atlanta Braves. So it would only be Mets for me. I mean, or team total. I feel like we got to keep riding this out while this offense is playing the way that they are. So Mets or Mets team total. I like both of those today.
I have no issue with it. Again, Mets double-digit runs in both games, and it's not like this is a great hitter's park. It's one of the best pitcher's parks in all of baseball, and the Mets just continue to roll offensively. Again, 5 games ahead of the Reds and the Giants. Also, only a game behind San Diego all of a sudden for the 5 seed in the NL. Both the NL West teams lost yesterday, which we'll get to the Dodgers in a moment. Still a 2.5 game lead for LA over San Diego. And also, of course, the Phillies and Brewers were randomly off yesterday, which still not, I'm sure they had to do something with AmFan Field for some reason, but regardless, off yesterday, they're back in action later today. We'll get to that a little bit later. All right, Alex, those are the 2 day games, so we can move along back to the top of the card. We go to rotation number orders, we usually do, starting in the National League, and there are those Dodgers who are currently 2 games behind Philadelphia. By the way, they do play Philly in a few weeks in L.A., so season series still on the line there with the Phillies technically leading it off that win in the series back in April. Shohei Ohtani back on the bump against Ashcraft tonight. Pirates took game 1 in what was a really bizarre high-scoring game yesterday at PNC Park. -70 on Ohtani, +55 on Ashcraft, and a total of 8 tonight by the Rivers in Pittsburgh.
I like the Dodgers in this spot. Get one back here from the Pirates. You're right. They won that 1-9-7, but Ohtani on the bump. You do pay a little extra tax, but I don't think that this -170 is crazy. I think they should be about $1.80 here. So I would only play the run line. Take the shot here. Dodgers -1.5, -110. And we talk about the Dodgers offense and it, being kind of down, but still, I mean, even in a loss, putting up 7 runs, I think they're going to give Shohei Ohtani some run support here in this one. So Dodgers for me, I would avoid that big price and go run line.
I kind of go over again, right? I know it was we didn't expect a big over yesterday. We got it. I don't trust Ohtani to go length,
right?
And the Dodgers should be able to hit Ashcraft, so I would look to go over 8 in this one. By the way, speaking of the city of Pittsburgh, our Rushmore 4 is going on right now for the 4 best athletes from the city of Pittsburgh. At Sports by the Book on X, Twitter, whatever you're calling it these days. If you want to give your take on who you think the 4 best athletes ever from the city of Pittsburgh are, whatever tense you want to use. Make sure you check that out. We'll be unveiling that next week, who makes the Rushmore 4 for the city of Pittsburgh. Of course, we had to start in Pittsburgh, with Chris Andrews, of course, being Pittsburgh's own, from our boss upstairs, sportsbook director here at the South Point.
Yeah, and we want to keep it going. Get some other cities in there. So
Absolutely.
Let's get a good amount of people to jump in here with us on this first one.
At Sports by the Book on all the social medias except for Instagram, which is at Sports by the Book LV on Instagram, but at Sports by the Book on X is where you can interact for the Rushmore 4. All right, let's go to Chicago next. Cubbies, 4 runs early was enough. They win 4-3 to take the first 2 off Atlanta. And here comes Mr. Horton again, who has just been spectacular over the last 2 months. And right now, the betting favorite in the National League Rookie of the Year odds, which quite frankly he should be. Yeah. Minus 150. Bryce Elder. You got Bryce Elder against the Mets, and then you got Bryce Elder against everybody else. Elder has been mediocre, to put it politely, against everyone but the Mets. Minus 150. Well, actually, Drake Baldwin has retaken the lead on Cade Horton. Sorry, I misspoke on that. So Horton will have a chance to retake Baldwin here today, potentially, in those back-and-forth betting odds in the National League Rookie of the Year. Cubs minus 150 in this one.
I thought the Cubs was the best bet in this game, or a Cubs team total over, but I might just forget all of that and put my money instead on Cade Horton to win the Rookie of the Year. He has been so good for this team, and looking at his numbers, sub-1 ERA since June at home, 1.02 whip for him. So I think there's a huge pitching advantage here for the Cubs. I was going to just go full game over. I think we will get some runs from both sides. And Bryce Elder's kind of been one of those fade pitchers, right, where I've been looking to take the other team's team total over. Would want to do that here with the Cubs. I think they're going to score some runs. So, yeah, whichever way you want to play it. I don't know if you want to just avoid bullpens, or even them just winning outright and going with team total. But Bryce Elder, definitely. The only 2 games that he did pitch really well, though, against were the Mets and the Phillies. So make that make sense. But first-time Cubbies are seeing him this year, and I think they're going to score some runs.
I tend to agree with you, Alex. This would only be a look to the Cubs to continue the winning ways in this series against Atlanta. Cubs entering today's action in the National League Central, behind Milwaukee right now. Again, 5 games back, 6-1 right now available over at DraftKings. If you think they have a chance to catch the Brewers, remember, Cubs do have the tiebreaker on Milwaukee. So if we somehow end up at a tie at a game after game 162, it would go to the boys from the north side if the Cubs were to catch Milwaukee. Speaking of Milwaukee, the random off day yesterday brings us game 2 of this series between the Brewers and the Phils, the top 2 teams in the National League by record. Aaron Nola, who came off a really awful first inning his last start, but then really stabilized the rest of the way against Atlanta, against Jose Quintana, Jose Quintana's been what you've come accustomed to for his career. Nothing overly overwhelming, but consistent and reasonable numbers all year long. Basically a flip. Brewers the smallest of favorites here at minus 110 and a total of 9, Alex.
I wish I would have jumped in there and got a plus price on the Phillies last night, plus 105. Got there 2 days ago with them as a dog, and I do think that is the right side here against Quintana, because looking at his numbers at home this year, since June, 4.83 ERA and a 1.46 whip. Phillies, they worry me on the road, but they pulled it off the other night and got a 10-8 win there against the Brewers. So I think they can do it here again with Aaron Nola. And you're right, it's been a little up and down since he has come back, but I think we've seen more good than bad, and I think he can continue to get better. So Phillies or pass for me, but I don't love the value. There's some other road teams that I think are better value-wise.
At a plus price, that would, 100%. Now, minus 105, not bad, but again, I think this is pretty even with the pitching between Quintana and Aaron Nola here in this one. Also, would you look at the over 9 here as well? They played an 18-run game on Monday with better pitchers than this. So I would also look to the over. It's strange, Alex. Usually at this time of the year, you got the bad teams with their pitching and just playing out the string. Those are the teams that I usually look to just take those games over.
Right.
These games between these high-end teams, usually we look to go under, but the trends have been towards runs with these high-end teams where the pitching's fading and the offenses are coming on strong late here.
No, it really does seem like that too. It doesn't really seem like we have much fatigue from the hitters, but you can definitely see it in a lot of these pitchers.
Up next, Alex, we go to Colorado. Just has been a season-long disaster, as we know, for the Rockies, who got to loss 100. And you know what I will tell you? They got there a lot later than I expected them to with how bad that first half was. They're now 39-100. But the real story here is the Giants. The Giants are hot. They're now a realistic chance to hop the Reds here today with, of course, playing baseball's worst, and the Reds playing the team with the best record in the American League for the final game of that series in Cincinnati. We talked about it yesterday with San Francisco. Other than the 7 remaining games with the Dodgers, which are obviously difficult, they have 6 with St. Louis today, and then 3 more with Colorado later on in the season, the final weekend, and 6 with Arizona. The schedule is there to make a push. Now, I think they're too far behind to catch either the Mets, who are 5 games ahead of them with the tiebreak, or San Diego, who's 6 games ahead of them, also with the tiebreak.
Yep.
But boy, that got a shot to really make this record look a lot better and make this race at least uncomfortable for the Mets and the Padres. Robbie Ray's a $2 favorite tonight with a total of 11.
As he should be too, right? And really, it's about Devers, who started hitting, and they got him for that reason. And now you're starting to see that. I really would like to know that conversation between him and Freeland and what got that fight going. But I like the Giants again here today. This is one I would jump in on and lay the run line. I just think there's a huge pitching advantage. I mean, we talked about Freeland being one of Colorado's better pitchers. Well, Marquez is not, and his median number is 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. And the way that the Giants are hitting, I definitely think they're going to be able to do that and have a nice sized lead going into the 6th inning. I do expect Robbie Ray to pitch well. I know it's not the easiest of places, but I think that he can do pretty well against this Colorado lineup. So Giants run line, it is -140, which is another big price here. Maybe I got to look at their team total instead. So I don't really want to lay -140, but like you said, they're playing tough. They're still playing as if they are trying to make a push here for the playoffs.
Kyle Freeland essentially said, "I found it disrespectful to show me up like that in the first inning," was the crux of the quote. Gorilla Sports was the one who initially had that video out. I don't know. Don't give up a 400-foot homer. Sorry. And the Giants, I mean, Adames and Chapman got run from that game. They were the one who really got in the fisticuffs. So Giants, even without 2 of their 3 best hitters last night, still got over the team total and got us over that low 10.5 for Coors Field. I would go back to the well, even though it's Robbie Ray. I would go back to the well again. Giants team total and over 11 yet again here today in Colorado. All right, let's go to Boston. Wild game yesterday. Garrett Crochet gave up 4 homers yesterday to the Guardians, but it didn't matter. Red Sox still end up winning the game comfortably with a 4-run 8th. To get that victory and win yet again. Boy, Boston has played so well. And this American League East has really tightened up. Both the Sox and the Yankees, only 2.5 behind Toronto, even with the Jays' wild win in Cincinnati yesterday. Bullpen starting today. Bernardino's going to at least be the opener here today for the Red Sox. Cantillo on the other side for Cleveland, -150 on the Bo Sox, +135 for the Guardians. Richard Fitz, right, will be the Bull guy today. Did I have that correct, Alex?
I think it's Dustin May, actually.
Okay, so Dusty May, okay.
So I'm expecting some runs here. I like over 9 here. I think we're going to get runs from both sides here. If you do like the Red Sox side, too, even though that game was so tight, because of those late 4 runs, they didn't have to use Chapman. So he will be available here today. So Red side, I do think that is correct. I think that -150 is a good number. But I like over. I think we're going to get runs from both sides. I really do.
I'm with you, Alex. This is runs. And again, the Red Sox have just been so locked in over the last, since that 10-game winning streak leading into the All-Star break. So we're going on almost 2.5, 3 months now that the Red Sox have played as well as anyone in the American League. +475 is a little bit juicy. I know we could have got better prices not too long ago, but that is a little bit juicy on the Sox, potentially to win the American League East. 2.5. Again, Yankees have this brutal schedule, even though they started off well last night against the Astros. But there you go, 2.5 game lead for the Jays over both Boston and the Yankees, but a 3-game lead in the loss column on these Red Sox. All right, let's go to Tampa next. Boy, the Mariners, golden opportunity yesterday multiple times to win that game, and they just can't do it. Junior Caminero does them in again. What a year Caminero's had for the Rays. But the Mariners' lead is dwindling in the wild card race. They did catch a break that Texas lost last night. So a 1.5 game lead for that final wild card spot over the Rangers, 2.5 over the Royals, who also lost yesterday to the Angels. So the Mariners did catch some breaks with the teams that are trying to chase them. By the way, Tampa's all of a sudden only 3.5 out of things in that wild card race. But today, the M's will throw George Kirby against Adrian Hauser, -135 on Seattle, with a total of 8.5 down at Steinbrenner Field today.
The only thing with the Mariners is they just rely on that long ball too much. I mean, to come back in that one, they hit back-to-back-to-back home runs, and then, I mean, that's all it really was for them. They got to string together some hits and get multiple in an inning, but I do like them in this spot. I do think there's a huge pitching advantage with George Kirby over Hauser, and this is one I think I'll just go back to it. I was on the Mariners yesterday. It was very close. This one, I take the plus money here. Get plus 120, lay the run line, and hope they can win by at least 2 here. But they need every win they can get. George Kirby has been better as of late. One bad start against the Mets, but besides that, has not given up more than 2 earned runs in his last 5 starts. So I think it's a Mariners spot here today. So let's go Seattle.
Got to get it done. Got to start winning games if you're Seattle. Again, that lead only down to 1.5 games. And fortunate that the Rangers did fall last night in Arizona. All right, let's go to Kansas City next. Missed opportunity for the Royals yesterday against a kid making his major league debut, and they were shut down the whole way in that one. And the Royals still 2.5 behind Seattle. They'll throw Berger today, who has pitched. He's been one of the more underrated guys this year, right, Alex? Where he pitched well in San Diego. Was a little bit surprised that he was in the Freddie Fermin deal with the Royals, and has pitched reasonably well since going to Kansas City. He's a -160 favorite against Dana here today for the Angels at +145 and a total of 9. Again, very small sample size on Dana, and it has not been good at the major league level.
No, it's not. And he's still really young, only 21 years old. He came up and got 2 starts, and then they sent him back down to Double-A, and that's where he's been. So his last start was May 24th, and then we're going to see him here again against the Royals today. In his first 2 starts, he only went 3 innings, and both of those gave up 2 to Cleveland and gave up 3 earned runs against Miami. I got to expect it's going to be a little tough here against these Royals. I do like that side. Probably not going to get involved with the -160, but you're right, Berger. In his last 5 starts, he has not given up more than 2 earned runs. He doesn't always go that deep, but I think he can go at least 5 innings here for you. So even if you wanted to look, maybe Royals first 5, but it is getting pretty expensive, -160 here, or -165 first 5. But not crazy compared to the full game, only 5-cent difference there. So I think there's some value. I think that's the way I would play it if I were to. That's what scares me. That first 5 at 5, I mean, they are expecting runs there. So that kind of devalues your side pick there.
If I trusted Casey's offense more, I would actually probably go look for a good price on a first 5 over team total on Kansas City just to tack Dana. But again, saw a guy making his major league debut and couldn't hit him yesterday. So a little bit tepid on Kansas City. All right, I think we can do this next one quickly, right, Alex? Twins and White Sox. White Sox bludgeoned the Twins yesterday. It'll be Gomez and Matthews here this evening in Minneapolis. -170. Actually, just legitimately, my screen just turned red, so this happened in the last minute. Minnesota's getting bet up to -175 now, +160 on the White Sox, and a total of 8.5. See, we give you up to the second moves here at the South Point. So, okay, I guess if you want to lay that big of a price with Minnesota, be my guest, right?
I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. It would only be the dog for me in this matchup. I really just don't trust the Twins right now, and don't trust Zebby Matthews that much. No terrible starts. Definitely he's not shut anyone down as of late. And even against the White Sox, he only went 4 2/3 and gave up 4 earned runs, coming off a better start against San Diego. But on the other side, Gomez, 4 starts for him since coming out of the bullpen, and they've all been relatively good. He did get hit by the Yankees, but besides that, I mean, the Braves went 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 5 innings against the Tigers, 1 earned run. So I think there's value there with such a big price, but I'm not interested in this game.
Let's go to Houston. Yankees took it to Framber Valdez yesterday. They take game 1 of that gigantic series in Houston. Stroh's still 3 games clear of the Mariners. Again, Astros are getting some help behind them, especially from Seattle, just not playing well at the current moment. Yankees, as we said earlier, 2.5 games behind Toronto. They've over them and Boston are in a virtual tie in the American League wildcard chase. The Yankees are technically ahead because they have less losses, but that will be sorted out on the tiebreakers, which Boston currently has for the Yankees and the Sox this year. Warren and Alexander, Yankees small road favorite at -125, total of 9, Alex.
Completely already had my mind set up. Yesterday was an Astros day, and today was going to be on the Yankees with Will Warren. I do think there is a pitching advantage here with him over Jason Alexander. So I think I just got to stick with it, even though it feels like I'm flip-flopping. The Yankees are just playing too good, and they are hitting really well. So I would go with that +125 here and take a shot of them winning by more than 2. Really, Framber just gave up 2 home runs. One happened to be a grand slam and really took him out of that game. But the Astros did nothing offensively to try and help him and to try to stay in that game. So all Yankees for me. This one will make the board, and I will be betting this -1.5 +125.
Completely shut down by Fried. That was part of the reason the Yankees brought him in, to be the 1B to Garrett Cole. And, of course, Fried is number 1 with no Cole this year, of course, with the surgery knocking him out for the whole season. Stroh's still -210 to win the American League West. That price via FanDuel. Boy, Texas is 12-1 at FanDuel. I wouldn't do it, but only 4.5 back, neither team in front of them playing well. Crazier stuff has happened, as we know. And speaking of the Rangers, they're in action this afternoon in Phoenix. Final game of this series. Jack Leiter, Zach Gallen, -125 on the Diamondbacks, +110 on Leiter and Texas, and a total of 9 at Chase Field this afternoon, Alex.
This one's tough because Zach Gallen has been pitching really well, and in his last 5 starts, his last 2, he's given up only 1 earned run in 12 innings pitched. Before that, he did give up 3, but he is going 6 innings, so pretty well for him. On the other side, Zach Leiter has been fantastic, only given up 3 earned runs once in his last 5 starts, scoreless against Cleveland, and then the Athletics in Sacramento went 6 innings and just 2 earned runs. So I give the edge to Leiter there, and the Rangers a little bit, but don't really have a lot of confidence jumping in with their offense. So I'm going to stay away, but I think there's value there at +110 here for Texas.
I can't argue with that at all. It would only be the dog. It's a good price.
Yeah.
Even teams, even-ish pitching matchup, especially with how Gallen has underperformed this year.
Yep.
Texas needs the games. Arizona doesn't. Arizona's done. I would only go at +110 on the Texas side, right there with you, Alex. Let's go to San Diego. Boy, Padres missing a golden opportunity against the last-place team. Have lost the first 2 of this series against Baltimore and are in danger of getting swept here. And they don't have the right guy on the mound here today because it's Nestor Cortez against Cole Povich on the other side for Baltimore. First 5, you see Cortez is a -150 favorite. Full game, Cortez is -160 with a total of 8.5 in this one. Alex, I'm going to stay the heck away from this game. But, boy, if you're the Padres, Dodgers lose last night to the Pirates. You got to pick up that game, and they didn't. And also, all of a sudden, you see, even though the Padres swept the Mets and had, again, if they avoid getting swept in New York, we'll have the tiebreaker over the Mets. Only a game up. And, boy, the difference between, and look, going to Wrigley wouldn't be easy either, but having to play the Dodgers in a best-of-3 potentially, or playing the Cubs in a best-of-3, especially with that heated rivalry in a place that they have not been able to win really since early in that playoff series last year. That's a tough draw potentially if San Diego can fall. It's a tough draw for whoever gets the 6. But, boy, the Padres just trying to hold on to that 5 seed now, still trying to catch LA 2.5 back.
This is a tough series, though, because the Orioles kind of like the Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks even, traded away some pieces. So that tells you how much depth that team has. But the Orioles, they're just so talented. It's tough to just go against them blindly, even though they are completely out of the playoffs. So much talent. You're seeing that here in this series against San Diego. And there was a very tempting bet up there. I saw a 4.5 first 5. Kind of like that over here. I think both pitchers are going to get hit up. I mean, Povich, his median numbers on the year going 5 innings, 3 earned runs. And on the other side with Nestor Cortez, kind of just all over the place. Done a little bit better since being here with San Diego, but still good for a few runs. And the way the Orioles are hitting, I think they'll be able to do that. So over 4.5 minus 120, that'd be the way I'd look at this game.
I have no issue with that. I'm going to just steer clear here of this one. Again, Padres trying to avoid being swept at home by the last place Orioles. All right, let's go to Cincinnati. Rubber match. What has been a wild series between the Blue Jays and the Reds. High-scoring affair. Yesterday, the Toronto won. Both teams with ninth-inning comebacks on Monday. Cincinnati ends up with the last laugh in that one.
Yep.
Jays, best record in the American League, entering today at 80-59. Remember, they have the tiebreaker on Detroit as well. So if they end up tied, the playoffs will go through Rogers Center instead of Comerica Park. And Shane Bieber gets the ball today for the Jays against Zach Littell, 2 guys acquired at the deadline by the respective teams. Bieber's been phenomenal in his 2 starts. Also, weird quirk here. All 3 Bieber's starts now will come against the National League. Has not faced an American League team yet. Miami, Milwaukee, and now Cincinnati. I think this price is a little steep, as well as Bieber has pitched at minus 165 for the full game. I would love to get the Toronto bullpen involved. Even though it kind of works both ways. If I'm Toronto, I'd love to get the Cincinnati bullpen involved. I'd only look to the Reds at plus 140, Alex. That would be the only look here in this game. Don't love it because I do believe Bieber should be a favorite. I just don't think he should be that big of a favorite in this game.
I'm with you. I think it is a little steep here. I think there's some value there with the Reds. Nothing I really want to get involved with how this series has been going. But, I mean, I'd almost even look to the over, but I mean, both pitchers are good, and we shouldn't see that many runs, but just the way the series has been going and the way both teams are hitting. So I think 8.5 is a little cheap there, but I'm going to definitely stay off of this game altogether. I do like both guys on the bump today.
Bieber's been awesome. Littell's been good enough.
Yeah.
He has been overpowering, but that's not what he is. So, again, for the Reds, I don't want to say the clock is getting close to midnight because I don't think that's fair. They have 3 big series, a 3-game series against the Mets coming up this weekend where they could get themselves back in it if they were to sweep. But it's getting late at this point for Cincinnati. 5 games behind the Mets for that final wild card in the National League.
And now the Giants entering.
The fray. And again, we mentioned it before, other than those 7 games against the Dodgers for San Francisco, obviously difficult, but they play a lot of tomato cans, as our friend Chris Andrews would say, the rest of the way, other than that 7 games against LA. All right, last one. Let's go to the Cardinals and the Athletics rubber match in St. Louis. Again, A's take game 1. Cardinals take a surprising low-scoring game 2. Minus 110 with Liberatore against Springs. 2 lefties, total 8.5. I don't know what to do here. I think everything feels about okay, right, Alex?
I would take a shot at the road team, actually, to take this series. I think Springs is a better pitcher than what we have with Liberatore right now. I mean, he's guaranteed. I shouldn't say that. He's gonna pitch a perfect game, but he's given up at least 3 in his last 4 starts. So pretty much you can imagine going 4 or 5 innings and then being able to get at least 3 earned runs. And I like this Athletics lineup a lot, so I do think they'll be able to get to him. So I think that's a good price, minus 105 on the Athletics.
We'll all listen to Alex on this game. I'm completely clueless on this one. Again, 2 teams going nowhere in both their respective leagues. Even though the A's, again, have a chance to not finish in the cellar in the American League West, Cardinals more likely than not heading towards a 4th-place finish yet again in the NL Central. Boy, a franchise that was so esteemed has fallen on hard times in St. Louis. All right, as you saw on the bottom, Ticker Trivia is now live. Also vote on the poll as well in the chat. If you're joining us today, thank you very much. Of course, if you're not hitting that subscribe button, make sure you are subscribed here to Sports by the Book on YouTube. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, Alex and I are going to the NFC. We talk more football. We tell you what we have in our power rankings, who our playoff teams are, and our best bets in the National Football Conference when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book. Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, thrilled to be with you as always. And today, after going through the AFC, we now go to the NFC, the home of the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles. Alex White, and we'll begin as we began yesterday in the NFL. We're going to give our conference-only power rankings. Of course, the Eagles yet again, the conference favorites. No shock there. Them and the Bills are the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl. Eagles at plus 350 to win the NFC. Detroit at 5-1. The big mover over the last week after the Micah Parsons trade, the Green Bay Packers get sliced all the way down to 6-1 here at the South Point. Niners at 6-1. Rams at plus 650, plus 850 on the Commanders. 9-1 on Minnesota. Tampa at 10-1, and then everybody else is 15-1 or longer, even though Seattle did get sliced down earlier this week, down to 15-1 in the conference. A lot of people were high in that Seattle defense, Alex.
Absolutely. Well, and the coaching staff there, right, with McDonald coming over from Baltimore, and has done a good job. We'll see. I have heard a lot of chattering about them. Interesting about the Packers, though, if you watched our previews, I said it's been very quiet about Green Bay, where they were the darlings for the last couple of years. Minnesota comes in, has a crazy year last year, and then, of course, a lot of high expectations for Ben Johnson with Chicago. And now all of a sudden the trade happens and people are jumping all over Green Bay again. But I'll start off with my top 10. Nothing too crazy. It kind of matches the board here. But number 1, I do have the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know they've made some changes on the defensive side and had to for salary purposes. But I like the young guys they have. And I think they'll be able to stay right there. Very highly power-rated team once again. Number 2, I do have the Detroit Lions. I am going purely off of the talent on the field. So whether or not I have the coordinators loss and new coordinators on both sides impact them throughout the year will be seen. But as of right now, I'm going, like I said, talent on the field. I still think that they are second best here in the NFC. Number 3, Washington Commanders. We saw a lot from them last year, and I do think that they remain where they were last year and are the third best team in this conference. 4 and 5 I have tied here now with Green Bay getting a little boost with Micah Parsons. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers I have as the 4th best team in this conference, and the Green Bay Packers tied right there at 4. San Francisco kind of sneaks in there at 6. I know there's a lot of question marks on this team, both offensively and defensively, but I do think they draft well, very well coached team, and I do think they should be about here in this conference. The Rams following them, one of the best to ever do it in the quarterback position. Matthew Stafford, very consistent and interesting. New with Adams there. We'll see what we get from their offense. Young defense that we do have a lot of hope for. 8, the Vikings. Kind of just that defense is so good. We saw it last year, and best wide receiver in the game, Justin Jefferson. Number 9, Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray and company, they've gotten better over the years, just have not been able to really get over that hump. And then number 10, Chicago Bears come in as the 10th best in the NFC. A lot of talent on that team. So if everything starts clicking, they could honestly be adjusted and move up pretty quickly.
You know, it's interesting. You and I are going to have the exact same 10, but in different orders, which I know that Seattle fans and Atlanta backers will probably be a little bit aggravated at us. But you know what? It's pretty tight.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight. And for me, it's pretty tight 2 through 12 in this conference.
Right.
I think Philadelphia is clearly the best team yet again, even with, again, there's some injury concerns with Dickerson on an offensive line. Their defense is a little bit reworked, but they're so clearly the most talented team. And they also have the best defensive coordinator in the conference as well with Fangio. So Philadelphia comes in at number 1, even though, again, replacing the offensive play caller yet again. But I'm not overly concerned about that. And then, Alex, you know what? I can't really fault anyone for ordering any which way, even all the way down 2 through 10 on my list. I have Detroit, the Rams, the Packers, all basically tied, Alex. I have them all basically tied. I had the Rams going into the summer before the Stafford back situation became public. I had them clearly number 2. But I had to dip them because of the concern with Stafford's back. If Garoppolo has to play, all right, there are worse backups that would be playing in the league, but it is obviously a considerable drop from Stafford to Garoppolo. So that's why I have Detroit. Talent wins out, even though I have the concerns about the coordinator, Glenn and Johnson, of course, getting head coaching jobs and having a new defensive and offensive play caller. But Detroit's still at 2. Rams 3. Packers moved up on the Parsons deal. That defense needed a big-time pass rusher, and they got it. Just a question of, is Micah Parsons back? Okay, after what we heard at the beginning of this week. Washington and Tampa, I have tied at 5, and basically at 5. I don't trust either of these defenses. I love their offenses. So Washington, the slight nod over Tampa. Tampa comes in at 6, Washington at 5. I have the Bears at 7. I have much higher on Caleb Williams than I think the rest of the market is at this point. I really think last year's mess had to do with the fact that team was so poorly coached. And Ben Johnson, who is one of the most hyped up coordinators ever to get a head coaching job, has to be much better than what Caleb Williams got from his coaching a year ago. Bears coming at 7. Niners at 8. I really thought long and hard about putting Minnesota ahead of them, but I trust Brock Purdy more than I trust J.J. McCarthy. That's the only reason I have the Niners at 8, the Vikings at 9, and then Arizona and Seattle were basically 10A, 10B. Yep. I give Arizona the nod. I just think I like their roster better. I think they have more talent, especially offensively speaking. Trust Murray more than I trust Sammy D at the quarterback position, Alex.
I do agree with that. And those two are hard, right? Cardinals kind of offensive advantage, and then Seahawks defense. Mm-hmm. So we will see. But yeah, I can't fault you for that list and how you did I would say 3 through 10 there, because I do think the Lions are clearly number 2 there in the NFC. But.
And we have all the same teams, unlike yesterday where we had to work for our number 10 slots. Yeah. We have the same 10 in the top 10, just in a little bit of a different order here in the NFC. All right, let's go division by division here, and let's begin with the home of the defending champs, the NFC East. We're going on basically 2 decades now of this division not having a repeat champion back-to-back years, and the Eagles are favored to break that trend at -190 to win the NFC East, the highest win total in the NFC as well at 11.5. Washington, second favorite, 9.5 win total, plus 275. Dallas, tumultuous all season, to put it politely, especially the last week, 7.5 on a win total, 7-1 to win the division here at the South Point. Giants, 6 on the win total, 24-1 to win the division. Alex, as we talked about in our team previews, which are all available on our YouTube page at Sports by the Book, these teams get walloped with their schedules.
Yes.
All like, if you're going off of any metric, strength is scheduled from the year before with the last year's record, or the one that you and I like looking at, the projected win totals of all the teams put together. All these team schedules just come out to be among the most difficult in the National Football League.
And that leads me right into my best bet with this division, which is the under here for the Dallas Cowboys. I like that before the Micah Parsons trade, and now I like it even more. First-time head coach over there, and I think it's going to be a struggle for them. Don't want you to get that confused with, I do think they will be competitive in games. There might be plenty of weeks where I am taking the points. I might take the points tomorrow against the Eagles because that's a lot of points there in the National Football League. But for them to actually come out on top, I think that that's asking a whole lot there with 7.5. I like under for their win total. And a lot of that has to do with I'm higher on the Giants than a lot of people. And I think they could steal a couple here from the Cowboys. So that's another bet that I do like here. So I'm looking at under for the Cowboys, over for the Giants. And I do think ultimately the Eagles win this division. So a back-to-back division winner for the first time in quite some time. But I don't love laying that price there with the Eagles. So I like those 2 win totals probably the best in this division.
You know, I'll just say this with Dallas. Dallas, we're going to be getting a lot of high-scoring games because I don't have a lot of questions offensively speaking. I had their defense is awful, and that's kind of the theme in this conference, which we'll get to in the NFC South especially. In this division, I don't really have a best bet because I think all the numbers are pretty fair. I would love to see if you can find a 5.5 on the Giants and maybe go over that 5.5. I'm very curious to see how early Jackson Dart appears this year because the Giants' schedule is brutal early. Maybe you take a shot on an offensive rookie of the year price on Dart a little bit later on, especially if you get a scenario where, Cam Ward plays well early and his odds nosedive and Dart's numbers go up. Maybe you can go that way. The Giants are significantly more talented than a 6-win team. Just look at that schedule. It's insane how hard it is for Big Blue here in 2025.
But like Chris says, I mean, there's so much that we don't know as of right now, right? So looking at that schedule now, we say it's one of the toughest, but there might be a couple teams in there that really fall off, and then they can get a few more wins throughout.
Let's go to
Who do you have winning the
Philly.
Okay.
Philly is 100% winning the division again. I don't trust Washington's defense enough in order to make up the gap, even though you'll see it on our whiteboards at the end. Both teams are making the playoffs. Yet again, Washington, after that miraculous run to the NFC title game, I don't think might be a little sophomore slump early for Jaden Daniels, but I'm not concerned about him throughout the entire season. So you and I both have the streak ending. Philadelphia actually wins back-to-back in the NFC East. Now we go to what we think is the best division in football, both of us. And the NFC North is absolutely loaded, and it got even more loaded with the trade for Micah Parsons to Green Bay last week. The Lions, amazingly enough, are not the division favorites anymore here at the South Point. The Green Bay Packers are now the division favorites at plus 150. That is a sharp move over the last month. I don't mean that by sharp bettors. I just mean that as an extreme move more so than anything. Packers, now you're betting favorites at plus 160. Packers plus 150. Detroit at plus 160. The Vikings at plus 375. And the Bears have lengthened out to 7-1 now here in the division. Alex, I'm curious your thoughts here because I did move Green Bay back into my postseason after the Parsons trade. But I think that's a little bit crazy that they're not a betting favorite here at the South Point.
I do too. I still think that the Lions are the best team in the full roster-wise. I mean, if you match up every position, I think the Lions are still slightly ahead of all of the teams here. But it is not going to be easy. I think that every single crossover here is going to be a tough matchup for all 4 teams.
Well, this is another one where you look at the schedules. The schedules are really difficult. And part of that is because each of these teams have to play each other a combined 6 times. And you have win totals of 8.5 is the lowest win total of any team in this division. Again, look at the Packers the first 2 weeks. Yeah, they're at home, but they have to play the Lions and the Commanders. Yeah, they'll be favored in both of those games. But if you told me Green Bay started 0-2, would you be shocked?
No.
Not at all. Not one bit. Minnesota and Chicago play each other week 1. That could tell the path for what happens in this division. Alex, though, I am going completely off the board here. I'm taking the Chicago Bears to win the NFC North here in the 2025 season. Yeah, I understand. It's a lot to ask for Ben Johnson to turn this thing over this quickly. But what did the Bears do in the offseason? They fortified the offensive line and they helped the defense. this team is much better constructed than it was a year ago. They also fortified their weapons at the wide receiver position as well. They add Luther Burden, a damn good number 3. You draft Loveland to help out your tight end position. You are building this thing correctly in Chicago around Caleb Williams. And look, a last place schedule is still a last place schedule, despite how hard the other opponents may be within the division and the fact that they have to play the NFC East, which has 2 playoff teams from a year ago in Philadelphia and Washington. But at 7-1, this is the only projected last place team I have even making the postseason in the NFC. Of course, I had the Jets making it in the AFC, and of course they lose their start right guard Elijah Vera Tucker this morning, so that might be getting changed, subject to change tomorrow, Alex, for the final playoff team in the AFC. But I like the Bears. I think Caleb Williams has a huge bounce back, and Ben Johnson to be coach of the year is also my favorite future on the board, period. 7-1 to win the division, plus 180 to make the postseason, over 8.5. Ben Johnson to be coach of the year for me, Alex White.
I mean, it's going to be a very competitive division. We know that between all of them, and they're going to be physical games here. So 7-1, it's got to be some of the shorter odds for a last place here with an 8.5 win total. So it's just telling you right there how competitive. Ultimately, I do have the Lions winning this division again. I liked Green Bay going over 9.5. I don't love it here at 10. But yeah, I don't even know if I have a best bet really in this division. It's a very tough division to even try and predict.
I also don't mind Minnesota under 9.5 as well. Don't love the juice here at the South Point. Go search for some better juice, or even just go under a 9 instead of a 9.5. That's a lot to ask of J.J. McCarthy, who's essentially a rookie coming in after not only playing 1 preseason game a year ago. And I thought Minnesota had a lot of luck on their side a year ago. I understand, you're asking them to regress 5 whole games to go under 9.5, but we saw this a few years ago where they had that great year, won a division with, some people said they were the luckiest team in NFL history with Kirk Cousins that year, and they went under 500 the following year.
Right.
So we do have a little past history on that with this Minnesota Viking franchise, at least with the head coach in Kevin O'Connell, that we could see steep regression, both to the positive and the negative for O'Connell coaching up in Minnesota.
Ultimately, that is where I kind of am with this division. Even though it is jam-packed right there, I do lean to the 1 and 2 going over theirs, and then the Vikings taking a step back, and the Chicago Bears not getting there completely. I do have them 8 and 9, so right there about 500.
Right, basically
so
right on the win total. Basically, you're agreeing with the market. It's an 8.5 minus 50, so you're agreeing with the market.
Right.
If it's at 8 and 9. All right, let's go to the NFC South next. And you know what? This is one division that I know you and I agree on because it runs through Tampa Bay yet again. Baker Mayfield and company have won back-to-back divisions with him at the helm. Tampa's now won 4 straight divisions. Of course, the only year since 2020 they didn't win a division. They won the Super Bowl, naturally, with Tom Brady and company. I'm a little bit floored that Tampa's not a bigger favorite in this division, Alex. I understand there's questions on defense. There's questions of when will we see Chris Godwin return after that horrible injury a year ago. But Alex, Tampa minus 110 to win the division, 9.5 on the win total, minus 155 to make the playoffs. I think they're even alive to be have the best record in the NFC in the regular season, which even makes that 10-1 to win the NFC a little bit interesting.
Yeah, no, it really does, especially when you see my board, you'll find that out as well. But that's my favorite bet of all the NFC bets. I think over 9.5 is a gift here. People do like to doubt Tampa Bay. Now, they won't have Liam Cohen calling the plays, so that is one question mark. But I love what I've seen from Baker Mayfield and how far he has come in the league now here with his 3rd or 4th team in Tampa Bay. So, of course, we do have the Godwin issue, but they do get Emeka Ibuka. So I think he'll be able to step in there offensively. I just really, as much as I like Tampa Bay, and you saw in my power ratings, them tied with Green Bay 4th in the NFC, I also am not high on any of these 3 teams below them. So how we talked about the North playing each other, I think Tampa has an advantage here. They have to take full advantage as they play their teams in their division and get these wins.
So real quick, Josh Grizzard is the offensive coordinator now for Tampa. That is a legitimate concern. It's a 3rd different play caller for Mayfield in 3 years. because Canales got a head coaching job and then Cohen got a head coaching job. So maybe Grizzer gets a head coaching job this offseason if Tampa has another huge offensive year again. Looking at the other teams in this division, Atlanta's at 8 on the win total. Carolina's at 6.5. New Orleans is at 5. Alex, I think New Orleans is pretty clearly the worst team in the NFL going into this year because their quarterback room is a total train wreck with Rattler and Shuck, and they just brought Hainer back again after putting him through waivers. I don't see the path for New Orleans winning more than like 3 or 4 games. I'm willing to go under 5. Even though it's like juiced, I would go under it. I'd even look for an under 4.5 in the market. If we can go that with New Orleans, maybe even a piece of least wins or most losses, whichever way that market plays out by the wording, you go with New Orleans. Then Carolina and Atlanta, I like both the offenses. I think both of those defenses, especially Carolina's defense. Carolina might be the over team in the NFL this year because I actually think what we saw from Bryce Young on the back half was real, and they used high draft capital on Ted McMillan. So they, even with trading Adam Thielen, maybe a little bit better offensively at the wide receiver position. But that defense is the worst defense in the NFL. They might be the over team in 2025, the Panthers.
Carolina terrifies me because I'm not very high on Bryce Young. I lean more towards what we saw in the first half. And thank you for reminding me, they traded his favorite target in Adam Thielen. He led the team in reception. So very young. They're going to just try and work through this. But you're right about their defense, too. New Orleans scares me. I see them getting a few wins against some of their division foes and just being competitive. These are professional athletes that are playing for their jobs as well. And I think they're going to kind of flip-flop with quarterbacks, give their offense a little bit of a boost. So that one scares me. It's just such a low number to go under. I think I'd probably go under Carolina if you made me pick any team to go under with this, just because it's higher. I don't think New Orleans is going to be great by any means, but it's hard to lose that many games.
It's hard to go under that. Like we've seen it, like the historically low win total teams usually go around their total, especially if you see 4.5.
Right.
It's really hard to go under 4.5. So I may bet them like plus the points against Arizona, but when it's 17-0 midway through the second quarter, I'm going to be annoyed at myself if I end up doing that. Saints 5 now on the win total, down from the 5.5 that we saw throughout the season, the summer, I should say. Yep. All right, now we go to a really competitive division out west. You know, I think you can make an argument for all 4 teams winning the division. You can also make an argument that for all 4 teams finishing last in the NFC West. And this is shop dependent on if the Niners or the Rams are the betting favorites here in the division. Here at the South Point, the Niners are the betting favorite at plus 170. The Rams are plus 230. Arizona at plus 380. And then the Seahawks at 4-1. Niners with a win total of 7.5. Rams a win total of 10. That's down. 8.5 on Arizona and 7.5 on Seattle on the win totals here, Alex.
Ultimately, I completely agree with you. You can make a case for all 4 of them to win or to finish last. I think it's very obvious what all of their weaknesses are going into the season. So we'll see how they tackle those. Some really good coaches in this division. Ultimately, that's why I picked San Francisco to win this division. They have an easy schedule. As bad as they were last year, the stats aren't even that bad. So I think they'll be able to get through this schedule and have more wins than everybody else in this division. So over 10.5, I do like that. I lean that way here for the Niners.
So we talked about this earlier on the flip side, right? The really hard schedules in the NFC East this year. The Niners have the worst, aka easiest schedule in the NFL by. It doesn't really matter what metric you go by. You can go by strength of schedule from a year ago, or you can go to those projected win totals that we were talking about earlier. Their schedule is really easy, and that is one good thing for the NFC West. If they're going to get multiple bids here into the postseason, got to take advantage of playing the AFC South, right? And you got to take advantage of playing the NFC South.
Yep.
And you got to beat up on these bad teams. And look, that can go the other way for the NFC South teams where, you know what? There's a path where I could see the NFC West having one playoff team with it being a 9-8 team.
Yeah.
I think there's a path for that. I think it's unlikely that the division champion is only 9-8, but Stafford doesn't stay healthy. Kyler Murray and Arizona start fast and fade like they seemingly always do. Seattle on offense is not good enough. The Niners, I'm concerned about their talent level. I just don't think their talent level is there, Alex. By the way, huge game week 1, as you see on your screen, between the Niners and the Seahawks up at Lumen Field in Seattle. I'm picking the Rams to win the West again. I have huge concerns about Matthew Stafford's back, and they're understandable. But here's the rule of thumb with the Rams since Matthew Stafford has been there. When Matthew Stafford has been healthy, the Rams have been a high-end playoff team, a Super Bowl champion, a team that pushed the Eagles more than anyone in the postseason a year ago. But the concern with that is Matthew Stafford going to be able to make it the whole way? The one thing, though, that the Rams are better set up this year than they were 3 years ago now, when Stafford was injured in that season, where their backup situation was bad. Now their backup situation, Jimmy Garoppolo, there are not many backups in the NFL that are better than him. But Stafford, if he can play 14 games, the Rams are going to win this division. I like LA. Take that nice plus juicy, plus 230, plus 240 price on LA to win the West for the second consecutive year, Alex. That's where I'm at.
There were oppo on this one, but I do like Robert Saleh coming in to run the defense again for the Niners. So I do think it'll come down to these two.
Again, I can see what I said, as I said earlier, I can see the argument for all these teams. Yeah. I can see the positive and the negative arguments for these teams. Seattle, their defense, to some people think Seattle has the top 5 defense going in. I don't quite think that, but you know what? Mike McDonald, a lot of talent. You could see that. Arizona, they could have a top 5 offense, but the concern with them is always defense not particularly great, and they have faded as years have gone along in the Kyler Murray era. So there are paths for all 4 of these teams out West to not only win the division, but for the Rams and the Niners, there is a path to make it to Santa Clara, which would be a home game for the 49ers, of course, if they were to make it to the Super Bowl. There you go. You see Philly, shortest odds of any team in the NFC to win the whole shebang at plus 650. And then you get everybody else at double digits. Rams actually shorter than the Lions, 10-1 on LA, 12-1 on the Lions, 49ers as well. There's Green Bay at 12-1. And then the Vikings at 18-1 before it goes north of 20-1 to win the whole thing at the South Point. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to see what you guys said in the poll. We're going to see who got trivia right. And we're also going to give you our playoff teams via the whiteboard when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
We're back in at Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Thrilled to be with you here today. Before we get to the trivia answer, first the poll. Which division in the NFC will have the most teams make the playoffs? 66% with the NFC North, 25% with the West, and an 8% with the East, and no love for the NFC South. I think we're going to be simpatico. At least I'm going to be simpatico with the chat here today. I know you're going to be pretty much even Steven across the board with the other divisions. But there you go with the poll here today. And now, Video Daily Double here for our trivia question today. And we can roll the clip from last week featuring our good friend Bruce Marshall about talking about one particular coach and one particular Big Ten team.
And he also rushed for over 1,000 yards last year in Broncos offense. That should make a difference for Utah. But I saw something with UCLA last year and in Deshaun Foster that I really like. And there was a time last year when I thought this was the worst UCLA team of my lifetime that I remember. And I go back to the early 60s, knowing UCLA football. But they turned that thing around last year. They had a game. If you were fortunate enough to get 4.5 or 5 in that Minnesota game last year, UCLA had 7 straight covers if you got the cover in that Minnesota game. They started playing tough in the middle of last year. They did not give up for Deshaun. The offense was a little bit rickety, but that defense was very salty, and they kept playing hard.
So UCLA and Deshaun Foster were the answer for Bruce. Again, it was not the best of week ones for UCLA, but they'll have a chance to turn it around here in Las Vegas this week. Sorry, Alex, against UNLV at Allegiant Stadium. And actually it was a pretty intriguing G5 versus Power 4 game that I know we'll discuss on Football Frenzy on a Friday. And JR got it right. So JR is on the board. It's 2 for Nick, 1 for JR to kick off the month of September here on the Ticker Trivia on Sports by the Book. UCLA 2.5-point favorite against UNLV on Saturday. All right, let's go to it. Let's go to the whiteboards here. I will go first here today with our NFC playoff teams. And the Philadelphia Eagles, I have getting the 1 seed. Remember, a year ago, they weren't even the 1 seed. They were the 2 seed. Detroit got the 1, but I have Philadelphia as the top dog in the NFC, even with their brutal schedule this year. And then I have the Rams coming in at the 2 slot, winning the NFC West, coming in just ahead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who get the 3 for the second consecutive year. Chicago, I told you they're winning the NFC North. I have them as the 4 seed, so I got them getting the 4. Commanders get the 5 after getting the 6 a year ago. Green Bay and Detroit I had tied, and I had Green Bay winning via tiebreakers for that 6 and 7 seed. So I had Green Bay 6, Detroit 7. I agree with the chat, Alex White, that the NFC North will have the most playoff teams this year in the conference. And you know what? Matthew Stafford's back issues be damned. I have the Rams making the Super Bowl. I'm sticking with what I had at the beginning of the summer. You know what? If it blows up on me, so be it. I will take the Rams. I think this could be this. I expect this to be the final season for Matthew Stafford, especially if they make it to the Super Bowl, even if they lose. Could also be the final year for Sean McVay as well as a head coach if the Rams make it back. So I'm taking the Rams to come out of the NFC. I have them winning in Philadelphia in the NFC title game this go around, Alex.
All right. Well, I took a little shot on mine as well with the 1 seed that might shock people, but based off the schedule, based off the division, I do have Tampa Bay winning the South and getting the 1 seed for the NFC going into the playoffs. I have the Eagles getting the 2 seed, still right there behind them, about 13 wins for Philadelphia. I have the Lions winning the North again and getting the 3 seed. And then I have the Niners kind of sneaking in there and winning the West. The Packers right behind the Lions. I have them double-digit wins as well and getting that first wild card. Commanders, not as strong as last year, but still enough to get into the playoffs. And then the Rams being the 7th seed here in the NFC. It was very tough between the Vikings and the Rams being my last team. Ultimately, pressure's off. They don't have the 1 seed. They don't have to face their division foes. I have the Lions breaking through and representing the NFC in the Super Bowl.
So our Super Bowls, if you remember from yesterday, I had Buffalo. So I have Los Angeles against Buffalo. Alex has Detroit and Baltimore. One Super Bowl we almost got here in Las Vegas 2 years ago, Alex.
Right.
We're very close with those teams losing in their conference championships. All right, you ready for the baseball whiteboard
board
here today?
Here we go. Just like you said yesterday about the Bengals, I'll say about the Mariners. Can't quit them. Can't quit them. So here we go. Taking the run line with Seattle today to get that plus 120. Yankees, you got to back the teams that are hot. And New York Yankees are hot up against the Astros here, -1.5 plus 125. I like Will Warren on the bump today. And then I'm going to go Guards and Red Sox over 9. It's been a very high scoring series so far. I think we're going to get more runs today, especially with the pitchers going.
I read that as Guardians Red Sox 0-9. My brain just not in the right spot, but I love that over. We saw it yesterday with the Guards and the Reds. Even at a crochet game went super duper over at Fenway yesterday evening. All right, that's what we got for you. Tomorrow on the program, hey, we've made it. Opening night in the NFL, Cowboys and Eagles, and there's no better guest for a Cowboy day than our friend Dwayne Colucci, who's going to be joining us tomorrow morning. Looking forward to that. I can't wait to see him bash the Cowboys in the morning tomorrow. We preview the game. We also give you our official Super Bowl pick, and we'll also give our season MVP as well tomorrow, Alex, here on the show to get us ready for the National Football League season. Shout out to our crew, Drew Dog, Vince, Ann, Ryan, Sean, and Jerry. Thank you all. As always, you see the Eagles 8-point favorites for Thursday night tomorrow, as of this moment here at the South Point and up at the Rampart. She's Alex White. I'm Jeff Parles. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow right here, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.